Well, here we are still at the Spa China event, and my next guest is Johnny Chang. Johnny is the founder of Spa Solutions, which is a consultancy based in Shanghai. And Johnny, gosh, I don't know how long I've known you, many years, but I've been coming here. So I thought, who better to ask about what's happening in the market? You're fluent in Chinese and English, both the language and the culture. You know, you really can go in both worlds, and you're someone that we see active on social media in the Western world, which is not the case with many of your colleagues. So I'm very interested to have you as a guest and really talk to you. So thank you for joining.
Thank you, Lisa, to have me. I'm stunned. I'm thrilled. Yeah, you can ask me, whatever the questions, about our industry or the well-being or wellness.
Well, I'm first of all curious, Johnny, about how you got into the wellness industry. It's not something that a lot of men were doing in China 20, 30 years ago. So what was your path into your position now?
Actually, it was a good karma, I think, because I studied in Australia many, many years ago. I was working in a art gallery, like antique sector. But, I've got some clients, who approached me, who brought me some French natural products those days. So they said, I'm interested in doing that. And actually, my second subject I took was the beauty.
Oh, okay. They went together.
Yeah, exactly. So, and during that period of time, I decided to come back because I was born in Shanghai. I'm a Shanghainese. So I was thinking, well, I should move back, to Shanghai, and not for too long. I made it. I returned to Shanghai.
And you were working as a beauty therapist at that point?
Yes, as well.
And so when did you transition from being a therapist into consulting?
Because, I was given quite a few brands, the skincare. So I said, why not, because
as a therapist, you had learned them all.
Exactly. And I saw the potential in China. And those days, in Shanghai, there was only one or two beauty salons. And
imagine.
And the therapist, they used to be like a hairdresser. So they converted themselves into a beauty salon.
Right. And there you have it.
Yeah.
So you said, okay, I might as well start using my brain as well as my hands and start doing consulting. What year was that? Do you remember?
That was 1993.
Okay. We're all getting older, aren't we?
Oh, my.
So what was it like being a consultant for that industry in China at the time? Did they even know how to use you?
Very good question. Very tough. Because, as a Chinese people, they don't want to spend money on consultation.
Mm-hmm.
They always thought automatically, we could do that. And not until maybe 2 or 3 years ago, they really took us in serious.
Amazing. And that was a long wait.
Long wait.
So what do you think changed? Because I know what you say. I've experienced a little bit of that. I think it is in the Chinese nature to feel, and I applaud that, like they feel like we can do that. There's a very can-do attitude, but they don't always credit someone from the outside being able to save time or money for them. You say in the last few years, people are, understanding that. What do you think changed to make them realize there was more to it that they didn't understand?
I think because of the change of the market. Because, the market trained them and awakened them. The trend, it totally changed. And for instance, like 15 years ago, all the spas come with a thick, menu, spa menu.
Mm-hmm.
But nowadays, the youngsters, they are not into that anymore. For instance, like, what do you call that, KOLs?
Mm-hmm. KOLs are key opinion leaders, are Western word for influencers.
Yes, many KOLs, over here. And like a Taobao, Alibaba, live shows, all the customers, they only give you 19 seconds.
19.
Yeah, 19 seconds to convince them, whether you've got a good brand or not.
Mm-hmm.
But until now, like TikTok, and the analysts said, they only give you 9 seconds.
And TikTok, it's only 9 seconds?
9 seconds.
We thought 19 wasn't much.
Yeah, but how amazing it is, because numerous of the KOLs, the competition is very strong. And you really have to follow tightly the trend,
Mm-hmm.
So that changed.
So business owners realized that they needed more help to make their brand known.
Yes. And for instance, like 2 years ago, because of the COVID-19, we just recovered from the COVID-19. So I helped, some of the hotels, name it as far as Hotel Shanghai. So I helped them to design one treatment called sleep well therapy. Because in China, we experienced many sleepless nights. So we helped them to create the design, one treatment. It went wow. So all the people automatically, they start calling. They, don't tell me others, I want this particular treatment.
Mm-hmm. So you were very successful with that.
Very successful.
So Johnny, is most of your consulting, what I've seen you do has been with global brands, not so much smaller business owners, but higher level. Is that is that mostly what your consulting practice is?
Not really.
No.
Because there's obviously, there's a huge gap between high-end, products and because our staff, they are really lack of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So you really have to really train them first.
The therapists in China.
Yeah.
Because they don't have exposure to these brands.
Not really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't want to review anything, the names.
Sure.
But, I want to mention this case, and most recently we were traveling. So we had a chance to visit one of the grand, but newly opened spa. So somebody, took care of us and showed us around. And it's a he. And he said, when I asked, I say, well, you've got a beautiful hammam, and the heated marble, details is so beautiful. But do you really know how to do the treatment in the...
Right. You have the physical facility, but do you know how to touch people?
Right. Right. And you know what the answer I got? He said, to us, this is luxury.
Just having it, but not necessarily knowing what to do with it.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
So one sentence, I said, fourth thing, what else I can say?
Mm-hmm.
So the situation is just like this over here.
Mm-hmm.
So you really, no matter how grand your brand is, but
I have noticed that in my travels in China, that they're very good at emulating the way something looks or how it feels, but not knowing what to do with it in detail, and I think the Chinese are very clever that way. They see it, they say, we can make that, and they make it. But as you said, now, how do we deliver a service with it? We don't really know. So what I'm hearing you say is that your customers have realized they need professional help to make use of the facilities they've built or the brands they've invested in.
Yeah. And
you're the man for that job because, as I said, you speak both ways, the Western and the Eastern. Did business pick up after COVID? Did you see any positive effect from COVID, at least the aftermath of it?
Some properties, yeah. To some properties, yes, because, there's still money in the market. They're willing to pay. People are very careful at the spending money. So you've got to do something uniquely to acquire the guests. So, yeah.
So now what we're hearing and what I've heard throughout the Spa China Summit has been that the economy is flowing. Your growth is still much more than many countries, but it's not the growth that you have been used to. And there's concern and your consumers are not spending. Now, what do you think the next few years will hold for your spa industry here in China?
As I said early on, I think as long as you know what you are doing and what to offer to your guests and to your customers, the market will be yours.
Do you see much inbound tourism at this point here in China, or are most of the tourists domestic? Domestic.
Mm.
And where are they coming from? Like you're in Shanghai, you're working with Shanghai hotels. Where are those guests traveling to Shanghai from?
Actually, it's quite, the variety is quite big, especially during what do you call that, national holidays, holiday seasons, all the hotel rooms extremely busy. So you have a lot of opportunities to do business.
Where do those guests come from?
From Beijing, big cities like Beijing.
So people from Beijing travel to Shanghai or Guangzhou or some other
Yes, exactly.
big city.
Yeah. For instance, we are in Nanjing and we are Chinese, from Shanghai.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Got it. I'm wondering if, Johnny, if you think that Western brands will continue to invest in China and try to sell to this consumer.
I think so. You witnessed, 2 days seeing, so many product brands, including the, equipment company.
Mm-hmm.
They still want to invest a lot, over here because the market, yes.
It is big.
Still big.
It is still big for sure.
Yeah.
It's worthwhile. So how often do you get to travel outside of China?
Most recently, quite often. But the first long haul travel for me is this March. I flew to London to attend a world style on the award. Kind of to me a bit weird because I haven't traveled for so long.
Right.
I haven't. And I had to get used to all the process, all my passport.
No, it's funny. We were joking, like it's like a muscle that you haven't exercised in a while.
Right.
From COVID. And
did I make the right step or wrong one? And which exit I should take? Really funny, my brain is not in the same function as I used to.
No, you were out of practice.
Right.
But it sounds like you're getting back in practice to travel now.
Now, yeah.
What are you struck by when you visit other countries by their spa and wellness industry? Do you see any differences?
Yeah.
Like what?
For instance, we just came back from Bangkok, Their service standard is still quite high. And they realize that, we have to do it, how to greet our guests. They always greet us in a very warm, friendly way. But over here, the comparison is quite big, actually. Over here, the therapists are very shy.
Mm-hmm. So, but aren't they shy because they're not that good with English, or is it more than that?
Both. And, of course, in the knowledge as well, they're not that confident.
Uh-huh.
Especially when they see you, somebody say, oh my God, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. And,
So when you go to other countries, you don't see that as much. The therapists are more.
No. If their English is not that great, but give you a big smile, you make you feel so warm.
And that's all it takes. That's all it takes is a big smile.
Because English is not our native language.
Of course not.
We understand that.
So what do you look forward to seeing when you travel outside of China? Is there anything in particular that you like to do?
Something like a tranquility, This is something missing at the moment, because our pace is really quick.
Mm-hmm.
Every day you must arrange so many things, call after call. And we do have our app like a WeChat.
Right.
And WeChat, you can spend hours, daily. And over here, and you, in America, you use work email.
Right.
But over here, email doesn't work. You
have to do everything in WeChat.
So it's really funny. And you are so easy to be disturbed, by one message.
Mm-hmm.
And then you automatically, you will try to act, instantly. But, how can you keep your pace like this, daily?
So you go to other countries so you can relax.
Exactly.
From your busy Shanghai life.
Shut down, like you said, digital detox, we do need that.
Well, my last question, do you think the consumers in China will continue to want spa and wellness services in the next few years, or do you see the demand flattening out?
Definitely.
Definitely they'll want them.
Yeah, and they spend more money on well-being and wellness courses, And all by sudden, singing ball, everybody is doing singing ball.
Mm-hmm.
And a few years ago, there was nobody.
It does change very quickly here.
So quickly.
People catch on and they want it really quickly. I mean, more than most countries for the size and scale here. When an idea happens, it sparks so quickly. And I'm wondering why that happens in China. Why is there that movement towards something new that is so rapid? Do you have any idea?
I think the awareness, because of the COVID-19 and people stopped and start thinking what they should do. And all of a sudden, they realize that, oh my God, I've done so many things, but, one kind of the things like COVID-19 can change your whole life. So they realize that they rather put money into wellness instead of buying big brand. I think, somebody said that, mentioned that yesterday. People start buying things without logo, but still luxury, more expensive than the brands carry big logo.
Well, that's no different than any other country. The consumers want to be well, to live longer, to have longevity, to have a healthy long life. And lucky for us, we're in that industry. So we're reaping some benefits.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for joining us, Johnny. Good to chat.
Thank you.
Hello, it's Lisa Starr with StarCast, and we are at another live event. I am at the Spa China Summit for 2024. We are in Nanjing, China, and I am joined at this moment by Laura, I should say. Laura Gamboa is the Director of Corporate Education and Spa Development for Natura Bissé, the Spanish brand. And Laura has been a guest before on the podcast. But they're doing so much innovation at Natura Bissé that I thought we should really talk in depth about that. So thanks for joining us, Laura.
Thank you for having me.
So your title, we were saying this is a very long title, Director of Corporate Education and Spa Development, is really like two jobs. Like, how do you manage all of that?
Well, actually, it's more than that because there is, for innovating in education and spa, then you're talking about retail and treatments and products. And so it's quite comprehensive. But in reality, I think that being a family-owned business is beyond title. So what I do basically is work to bring innovation into the educational arena, to work to develop the tool that we require, both in of course, treatments, product, but all the materials that are associated so we can transfer that better to our distributors and partners and, of course, consumers. And on the other side is working hand in hand with the research and development team. I'm part of the core innovation research and development team for the company. I've been with that for about over 10 years in Barcelona, with all the development that has to do with all the products, all the new treatments, and all the behind the scene parts that I love.
Well, it does sound like it's two jobs that you're doing, but, it's great that you are a great funnel for all of that information, a conduit for all the innovation that is going to the consumer and then training, worldwide, your team on it. So we were talking about...
Oh, it's a team. It's not mine.
Oh, yeah. Well,
so that's a great thing. I appreciate the kindness, but I think that it's obviously you cannot do it only one person. So yes,
you have a great team in place.
We did.
So when we talked last year, you said, well, we're working on something, but I can't really talk about it.
I know.
And now you can. So when I went by your stand, you have like a little helmet with electro, things on it. And so we're going to talk about that. But first, we're going to back up because you have also at the Spa China Summit an experience room where you've laid out sort of the path of innovation of Natura Bissé that has been happening in the last 8 years since 2016. And it's really interesting to me how this company has wanted to measure in a scientific way what they're doing. So a lot of companies say, oh, we do this and we do that. But they have no like data to back it up. And you guys are data filled.
We put our money where our mouths were. So it was very interesting because, as you say, we didn't say anything. It took us a while, and we were quite focused on working on that and measurement. The first and foremost reason was to be able to understand it. What make people enjoy a treatment? What provide them higher peaks of pleasure? And on the contrary, what provides them the highest peaks of displeasure if you consider a treatment as a continuum? So understanding every step, what effect has on the person when you are doing it, because we measure that on real time. So we could see the different variations. And we kind of knew what to expect. Like, okay, of course, they are going to prefer that. But if I ask you, what do you think they prefer, hand or machine? That's a difficult one. Yes. And lucky for me, I didn't say anything about the panel when we were working or talking with other machines that are people that are dedicated to machines. But all the time, we saw the highest peaks of pleasure when people were having manual massage.
And where did you see these peaks?
We see them reflected on the results. So basically, we measure brain activity.
In the helmet.
Activity. Yes. At that moment, we worked, and very importantly, we have only worked with medical equipment. So that speaks volumes about the robustness of the data that you are taking. Now, you can find other studies in the market that are maybe done with commercial equipment and so on. Of course, everyone does whatever they prefer. But in our case, we were very strict from the very beginning. We have chosen a neuroscience partner that works very deeply in research. And our first study in 2016, we did it with a headband that had channels, and we measured that on real time. So during the whole treatment, a 60-minute treatment, we knew exactly, okay, when we do an inhalation, how people feel.
And you could see the results right away.
Not right away, because all the results were, were gathered and then analyzed. So it was not an online thing like, okay, I see how it is going. No, it was not like that, unless in 2016. But to be able to see those results representing, we had to obviously separate all the steps. And when we were when we were performing treatment, we were letting the person who was taking the data know, like, okay, we're entering into step 1, step 2, step 3. So we had to break it into steps, every single thing we did.
Kind of charting it, as you went.
It was a toner application. It was, so we knew every step, how affect the subject, how they affect the person. So
this was in 2016.
This was in 2016.
And what made the company want to do this measurement?
I think that we wanted to really bring or elevate the excellence to our protocols. And if you think about it, and to find a better ways, like how we can make a treatment better. And not only by, okay, how do you feel? Because we kind of had all that knowledge. I mean, of course, we are a professional brand. We didn't start in retail. We started in treatment. So we kind of have all this background of knowing empirically what people like and dislike. But it was very different that, okay, you may tell me like, does it tingle? Oh, yeah, a little bit. And then when I see it, it's like, you hate it. It's different. Or cold versus warm. What would be better for your relaxation? So understanding these things can help us to really boost the excellence of our protocol to achieve a higher relaxation and to bring much more pleasure to someone who's actually experiencing them. So if you think about it, this gives you a direct correlation of how in 2017 we created the Mindful Touch with mindfulness audio and video and virtual reality.
So Mindful Touch was an approach you had to giving a treatment based on the data you had collected. And you then trained your people around the world on how to do that.
Yeah, it was a new development, right? Because this is virtual reality and audio and sound. Inspiring mindfulness, 8 minutes, along with maneuvers in a set of a design protocol to increase relaxation. So paired together.
So that was 2017 that came out. And what was the next step or the next iteration of that?
Okay, the next iteration came in 2020. We have to think that in 2020, before COVID hit, when it was just a long thing coming from China and we really didn't think a lot about it. We were about to be present in the Mobile World Congress. So we had booths, everything was up and running. And the Mobile World Congress, I don't know if you have ever been to a Mobile World Congress, is absolutely insane. It is massive. So much going on.
Is it, I guess, some kind of tech?
Exactly. It is, yes, one of the technology hubs or meeting or conferences worldwide. And it takes place in Barcelona, I think that for over 5 years, it has been happening every year. So it's quite an interesting venue. And we wanted to be there. A little bit about Naturibus. They were constantly looking for different things. So we wanted to be there and have a stand. And
you were going to show this data that you had collected.
Exactly. And we were going to do an experience with our mindful touch. For that, we did a feasibility study, testing it and said, okay, what are we going to do at a Mobile World Congress? Well, we're going to be in a booth. In a booth where? In a booth in the super busy, noisy environment where people are passing by. And our goal is to relax you and make you feel better in 8 minutes. Can we achieve that? So we ask ourselves that question. And we did this feasibility study testing while we replicated this 8 minutes protocol with the VR. We did it in the middle of our offices at noontime. Spanish people can be and Latin people can be very loud. Right? So imagine that.
And you have a big office building. I've been there.
Yeah. So imagine all that together. And so we chose noon and we did the test, a small feasibility test to actually verify that, okay, what we're going to do at the Mobile World Congress is going to be useful or no, going to be a flop. So we did it. It was useful, but then of course COVID hit and nothing else happened. So with all this information, we kept on thinking about okay, what is missing? We have tested the steps of the protocol. So we know on real time what happens at each minute. We have tested the VR in the protocol and we know that this works and that people feel better. So what is missing? And for us, it was okay, we know people feel better, but how much? Can we put a number?
And you quantify that?
We can quantify well-being level. So that was the reasoning behind. And so we designed the protocol for the study. It took us about a year to, finally decide, get, of course, all the investment because this is all self-funded.
That's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money. But I think that, of course, there's a lot of money, but it's a decision and a commitment. Because if you want to do it right, any research is going to be costly.
Scientific research is never inexpensive.
It's never, exactly. But I think that is that commitment of saying okay, this is important for us. We're going to do it. So our largest study took place last year. And that's when we measured and quantified well-being. And that's where we use the helmet. And brings us to the helmet that you were saying, that it's a replica or a dummy of the helmet that we were using for the measurements.
So for listeners, it looks like something you would wear wrestling, right? It's like a skull cap, that you would pull over your head with a chin strap with a bunch of white things on it. So who helped you develop that?
No, it's actually a proprietary technology. The neuroscientist team that we have partnered and done our studies with. Yes, it is not our technology because we needed someone that is strong on that, and that is not our.
No,
it's not our.
You're a skincare company.
Yes, and we wanted expert to be able to measure and gather the data and do that. So it is their technology. Yes.
So you felt like the band you had used in 2016 was good, but this would be more, it would give you more data points.
Yes, of course. We're talking about a different number of electrodes. And in 2016, we had 8 channels. And in 2023, in 2020 as well, 8 channels. And in 2023, we had a total of 19. So 18 for brain activity and 1 for heart activity. As well, it's understanding how each study complements the other one. For instance, for us, we decided to use this headset because it will provide us more data. And second, because we didn't need to measure real time. We already knew what was happening on every single step, manual, hot versus cold, manual versus machine. We kind of knew all these parts, so we knew how to tweak and arrange the protocol into what we wanted. So we didn't need to do the real time, because obviously to do a facial treatment wearing that helmet,
No, wouldn't be very comfortable for the
it
client.
will not be comfortable. But what we did then was like, okay, we have the real time part. We know it. We have done it. We have tested it. So let's see before and after. And because just the setup of the helmet takes about 20 minutes with all the electrodes, everything.
So that's not insignificant.
No. That's why as well, I was telling you before that I'm completely sure that if someone had a measurement just like, okay, let me see your well-being level now.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end, something so simple, maybe your well-being level will have been 90% instead of almost 70%. Mm-hmm. Because all that protocol that we had to do, because of course, if you want to make it scientifically robust, you need to have a control group. You need to have a very thorough series of steps to measure and replicate and, all these two groups and everything. So that journey of the volunteer was really long for them. Mm. And I'm completely positive that the well-being levels are even higher. Scientifically demonstrated almost 70%, which is amazing.
That's a lot. So Laura, how does knowing this data help Natura Bissé to self-care? Like, how are you showing that to the market?
Oh, of course, right now we are, or since a little bit after I saw you last year, we presented our research at the IFSCC, International Federation Society of Cosmetic Chemists, which is one of the largest conferences in the world. And we introduced this as a poster. And of course, right, ever since we've been shouting it out, mm-hmm. we were selected to be presenters in Venice a couple of months ago. We presented it in a conference in Venice where what they do, it's called IPCE. It's an International Personal Care Excellence Conference. And basically what this conference does is that it takes all the posters, so not the podium presentations, all the posters and
scientific posters with all the charts on data, yeah. Right?
So from 500 posters, they selected 17 to make a presentation. And we were one of the...
That's impressive.
Yes. We were one of the selected, and we did the presentation in June in Venice. And we were selected as well to publish under the Emotional Beauty supplement of the IFSCC magazine that was released in late July. So very recently we have published our research as well. So of course we want to shout it to the world. Mm-hmm. So that is one part of it. On the other side, it has as well all the knowledge, because if you think about it, since 2016, we are sharing it now, but since 2016, we have a lot of knowledge. This knowledge has helped us to develop the mindful touch. And I'm pretty sure that as well, this has some influence in us winning 4 times in a row the world best spa brand, from 2018 to 2021. And as well, it helped us to develop the Pro Youth lifting method that I don't know if you have tried it and tested.
No, I haven't.
The Pro Youth lifting method that we released it, or we launched it along with our bubble, and we continue to use it. It is actually gathering this information and working specific steps to increase the levels of well-being in moments where we know that, it's going to be easier to take the relaxation to a different level. For instance, at the very beginning of a treatment, people are very hard to disconnect. Mm-hmm. No, it's very hard that they disconnect from the outer world and get into the treatment mode. So adding some steps at the beginning, including conscious breathing and other kind of manual steps help. But as well in moments that are not as pleasant as peeling, as we described it. Mm-hmm. So a specific maneuvers there. So all this knowledge stays with us. And of course, this is richness. So we are shouting about it. We are sharing this with the world. We are learning from it. And at the same time, we are sharing it with our partners, which is important. But also a last point for us is that this is generosity as well for the industry. Mm-hmm. Of course, we test the Natura Bissé treatment. We are a brand. But for anyone who is in the spa industry, it's a way, and we've been talking to our partners as well and saying, this is important for all the spa therapists and all the spa owners and everyone who's working on the spa as a reminder that your job matters. What you are doing matters, we are truly helping people. There's a beautiful concept from the World Health Organization that is called individual mental health capital, that I don't know if you're familiar with it. And basically, the individual mental health capital are all the activities that you can do as an individual to boost that, all this capital that's going to help you to make you bounce back whenever life gets rough. So every activity that's going to help you to build that resilience is going to help you bounce better from harder times. And with all this research that we have done, we can truly say that, spa treatments can actually help you to build your own individual mental health capital. And I think that this is beautiful. We have results that demonstrate that we can improve not only well-being, but at the same time, self-esteem. And that was huge, to be able to make people feel more powerful. When we saw the results, I remember that I cried.
I can imagine.
Because it's wonderful, to know that someone comes out of a treatment room and they feel that they can take out the world.
And they think they're just getting a facial or buying a jar of skincare, and they're getting so much more.
So I think that for the industry itself is a good reminder that, we're doing something that matters.
Well, you guys are taking it to the next level in Turbisay, I have to say. That's very impressive. So let's close on talking about where we are. Here we are in Nanjing, China, looking out at acres and acres of high rises. How are you finding business in China this year? I know it's been more flat. I shared in the data today that the China of all the top spa markets has not quite caught up to where it was. And there's a lot of economic uncertainty here. What are you seeing in the market?
I think that the same that you're mentioning, we are all feeling it. We're all seeing it. And at the same time, you can add to that there has been a change in consumer. You have been coming to Spa China many, many years. Mm-hmm. Me too. And you notice when you talk to people that they tell you the consumer has behaved differently now, or they are looking for different things. I think that, and as you presented, in your presentation some time ago, it was like, it's more about quiet luxury now. Mm-hmm. That it's funny how China is catching up with the rest of the world in many trends. In that game, maybe not in technology, but in that part of moving towards quieter luxury. So I think that going back to the business point of view, this means that, of course, they are going to be more cautious and less splurge oriented. So for anyone who is working on the high-end prices range, this means that you need to be much more, intentional as well about really talking to the customer, connecting with them so they understand the value of what you're doing and why you're doing and what are your prices, and as well being creative about what is your offer. Maybe, the top range isn't moving the same way, and you have other ranges that can be, something, a lifesaver in a harder situation, no? So in our case, it's about that. It's about understanding.
Adapting the approach.
Adapting. I think that we have the great point of having our offices here, having a distributor here. So being able to actually be in contact with them, with the market and what they want and how we can adapt, it really helps you to adapt much faster.
Do you find that they're very open to innovation here in China?
Yes. I think that as in any other part, people are more discerning, wanting that, okay, tell me why it works. Okay, you're telling me that this is innovation, but beyond only a gimmick. So I think that is something that for our industry is very important to know. It's like, okay, if you're going to go, they're going to be incredibly open for innovation. They like as well foreign brands, and they are willing to try and test, and they are open to that. As we said in the panel, they are early adopters. The thing is that you really need to do your homework and have all your data to back up. Because at the end, as they move so fast, you don't want to end up like, yes, I've seen it, or I can buy it in China for 5 times less. Mm-hmm. You're dead. So there needs to be a reason, and an economic slowdown more than ever. There needs to be a reason.
Well, they do value looking good, feeling good, as most humans do. and Chinese people want what everyone else wants. So the idea of an accessible luxury product like a Natura Bissé product that makes you feel good is a lot easier than maybe a very expensive handbag or a car, right? I mean, it's an affordable luxury.
I mean, for us, I think that if we think about it from the luxury point of view, if you think about it coldly, your skin is your most precious accessory.
Mm-hmm.
Your handbag, your car, your shoes, your clothes, you can change. Your skin is, you have it for life.
You do. That's a very good point, Laura.
So, but yes, I think that you need to be quite quick and light on your feet for all these times are changing.
Well, you work all over the world. I'm interested if your idea of working in China is that it's a good thing because it keeps you on your toes. More than other countries, do you find that?
I think that pace is different. It is quite frantic here compared to other parts of the world. And you can take it the bad way or you can take it the good way. So I'd rather take it in a good way, which, keeps us light on our toes and understanding that it is just that pace. Obviously, there are things that for us, for instance, if you take it to our neuroscience projects, it has taken us a lot of time and not to say anything and not to share. It was like a little bit excruciating at some points, but we waited and did something that was of value. So as well, I think that for any brand or for any individual, yes, it's good to be on your toes, but at the same time, you need to be able to say like, okay, how long I'm going to be on my toes? Or I have to stop and step aside for a little bit to really be able to offer value. As well, I think that you need to consider that because the pace of the market is the pace of the market. And if it slows down too much, might not be very good for business. Right?
Right. You need to pace yourself and you need to have the infrastructure to support, which you clearly have done. Well, thank you so much for your thoughts and your input and congrats to Natura Bissé on being so progressive in this data. It's really amazing.
Thank you for having me. And yes, it's been a beautiful journey. And now I can tell you all about it.
Yes, exactly. Well, great. Thanks so much, Laura.
Thank you.
And now I'd like to introduce our final guest for today from the Spa China Summit, Yvonne Chung. Yvonne is the co-founder at PA Wellness Consultancy, where she has been for, 20 years. And she is also the co-founder of Yu Sum Tong, which is a very interesting brand of products and teas incorporating Chinese and Western culture. Yvonne is going to talk to us about some trends she is seeing in the market. Thanks for joining us, Yvonne.
50% people are not sleeping well
Or enough.
Andres, I would say. Every market, every tradition, first, second, third, it's just about the economy scale. But everyone needs wellness.
Whatever city they live in.
They have their own solution. So how long is the lapse time between two treatments and what can we do? I wanted something that is easy to use for urban citizens that they can carry along, they can use it at home so that wellness, well-being is in every part of their life.
Does Yu Sum Tong mean something? Like, does that phrase mean something?
The last word tong is like house in Chinese. When you have a big mansion, so they call tong. The first two words have a symbolic meaning of something light, but heartfelt, but heartful. Something important for feelings, your life is like a small gift, but very important for you. That's the meaning. So the idea is I try to use the interaction of Chinese and Western culture. We have Chinese herbs in all these products, but in a more modern way. For example, the tea soup that we created is actually the soup that you can have at home every day, that your mom, your grandmother knows how to do it with all the recipes. But nowadays, we still love all these soup, but we don't have time for it. Or the younger generation, they don't even know how exactly to do the recipes anymore. So we recreate all these recipes and put them in an easy making sachet that all you need is to pour in water and brew a few minutes, and you have a nice soup that is nourishing, or it targets certain like unwell that you feel during the day. So instead of having more than 2 cups of coffee, I would say 1 cup is good for the day, but you need more nourishment for other hours. So we create all these teas. And the second category is the thermal line. So we all know that temperature helps our immunity, but how to do it easily on the go. So we have these patches that is heat up when you just open it with the heat and the herbs all together. It gives you double benefits on your body. So you can use it in the office, you can use it on the train, you can use it at home. So that is a simple version of moxibustion or the Chinese treatment that you can have in a clinic.
I love the way that you're reinterpreting the traditional and cultural Chinese elements for the modern person. That's really brilliant, and it's doing very well online.
It's okay. Yeah. We have most of our business online because this is the generation, and our target market are more younger generations that maybe 25 to 40. But the more younger they are, they're more into the e-commerce, and that made us easier to reach all these people.
For sure. So, Yvonne, in closing, I mean, you have, as we said earlier, kind of grown up in the Chinese spa industry. You've seen so much change. What do you think will happen in the next 4 to 5 years? How do you see the market continuing to evolve here?
Well, Chinese market changes very rapidly, but I'm sure when you come back every year, you see something
I do.
You cannot recognize anymore. I think the pace is still fast. We will have a lot of local creation because in the past, we import ideas, we import concept, we import product. It's about time that we have something from our culture and for our identity, which will be a very good mix and match with the Western world. So the element, we still have the latest and the best products from the Western, but the tradition part will grow faster in the next few years, especially when the wellness idea is getting broader. As I said, it's not just about the more wealthier or more educated people looking for solutions. It's everyone interest in well-being, every Chinese. So people with different background will look for something that identify with themselves or they feel comfortable. So supply and demand theory. So if there is a demand, there will be supply, also vice versa. Chinese has a lot of different tradition in terms of wellness treatment, from very long history or something that we bring in from the Western world, but we can modify it to our version so that our people can understand well. Aromatherapy has been long time from Europe. We love it. And we can see that aromatherapy with Chinese herbs are actually working together. We will see it very soon. And actually, there are some products in the market. This is just one example. But like Chinese treatment, you can imagine or something that beyond imagination that there will rise and will become a new version. We call it new TCM.
Okay. Well, I think that's, the way it needs to go, right? You want to modernize, but not lose the old tradition. And there is nowhere that the pace of modernization or innovation exceeds what you see here in China. Well, thank you again, Yvonne Chung, for joining us and for your insights. It's really great to see you.
Thank you, Lisa.